So Dusty Rhodes, a tag team partner of Dick Murdoch. Were Dick and Dusty tag team partners down in Florida?
Yes, they were. They were tag team partners here, but they started up being tag team partners up in Kansas City. Back in the old days, tag teams meant a lot, and so the Geigel used to have tag team tournaments all the time. That's where very first time I worked against Murdoch and Rhodes, and they were, by the way, two of the first guys that I met. The first guys I met in the business, besides starting in Oklahoma, but outside, the territory. We used to have to go when you're a beginner. You used to have to go like to different territories and do favors for guys, and then on TV, then they'd send guys back up to wherever you're from and do favors up there, kind of the exchange deal, so you wouldn't burn your talent out. So when I first went down there, I was still in school. And the night before, I was in a softball tournament, and I was playing shortstop in the softball tournament. I went to field this damn grounder, and it hit a damn rock on the damn softball field, and it bounced, and it hit me right square in the nose and spread my nose. It broke my nose. Now, next day, I got to go to Amarillo, Texas, 230 miles, drive with a broken nose and work 3 times for the funks and get the hell beat out of me. And I show up in Texas by the next morning, my eyes had started getting black. My nose was spread out all over. And I walked in the dressing room, hey, kid, who the hell? And so I told the softball story, which was a true story. Of course, nobody believed me. It's Murdoch and the Funks and Kozaks and all those legends from West Texas there. And none of them believed me I got hit by a softball. So I actually got a picture. Somebody had taken a picture of me at the softball game. So the next time I went to Texas, I took the picture. Oh, you had that picture doctored, They never did believe me. They believed I got the heck beat out of me. I could have. I don't know. I was probably drunk, but that's softball. But anyway, first time I met Dusty, and I got in the ring with Dusty and Murdoch was in Kansas City. Geigel was promoter up there, and he had a big tag team tournament. And our semifinal match, of course, we were going to end up with the Funks in the finals. Our semifinal match was against Murdoch and Rhodes, and that was the first time I really got the opportunity. They were the Texas Outlaws, and man, what an apropos name for those two guys. And you talk about, and I hear too, I mean, neither one of them were the best athletic shape in the world, as you know. I mean, Dickie, but Dickie, that body of his, but he could go like a middleweight, couldn't he, man?
Oh my God, yeah, Dickie could go.
And you couldn't blow the guy up. I mean, no matter what you do, because sometimes Jack and I just try to crisscross him and drop down and all that stuff, slam, just to see if we could blow him up, and we couldn't. And Rhodes was the same way. But we worked with those two guys. That was the first time. And they got with Jack, because Jack had a lot of pull with Eddie down in Florida. Hey, Jack, we'd love to come to Florida as a tag team. You think you can get us in there? So Jack went to Eddie, and Eddie booked him to call Geigel. And the next thing you know, we got the Texas Outlaws in Florida. And they got over, and they drew sellout houses everywhere they went. What a tag team they were. I mean, they were, personality wise, they were so alike. It's just so much fun to be around. I mean, you could joke with them, you could have fun with them. You always have a beer with them, and they were just so much fun. But we got to work with them down here in Florida. Then Murdoch I think they wanted to leave, and they went up to Vern's territory, and they worked a little bit of tag team up in Vern's territory, and I think Vern eventually separated them, and that's when Dusty called Eddie and come back to Florida as a singles wrestler.
How did Dusty, when he first came back as a single wrestler, how did he get over when he came back? When he first came back?
When he first come back, it was a little slow because Eddie had such marvelous athletes down here on the roster, and then like we know, Dusty wasn't that prototypical athlete look that everybody had down here. But his talent was so good, and he wasn't American Dream there. He was just outlaw Dusty Rhodes at the time, and so he was over, and he was kind of a semi main event, semifinal main event type guy, where you could have in the middle, and then you had a nice program. You could shoot him in on top, and he was good. And then I was here when he went to Bill Watts, and him and Bill started talking about turning babyface, because the guy was getting over so well. And the reason he was getting over so well, because we had Atlanta TV, and Florida, of course, would send talent to Atlanta. Atlanta was TV was that first superstation on cable TV. So a lot of territories were sending their talent into Atlanta to get on that TV and get them over. So Dusty had come up there, and we'd had this guy that was really over, that had just left the territory, went back to Carolina. It's called Thunderbolt Patterson. And I'm sitting there at Atlanta TV. Back in those days, I mean, you worked Atlanta. You worked with it even before the Omni Day. It was a city auditorium in downtown Atlanta. You work there, and then you go out on Atlanta, and there was a couple of country places there. And one of the stories I'll get into is about Dusty and Andre wanting to get on this big horse on the second floor of this honky tonk there in Atlanta. We had to talk about off the roof, before they got up there and got arrested. But we go out and party on Friday night. Then it's Saturday morning at 8:30. You had to be there at 7:30, but 8:30 we'd start TV taping, and we'd do 2 to 3 TV shows in that little studio with about 25 to 50 people in the old Channel 17 over on Peachtree Avenue's TV studio. And Ted Turner would come, and Ted was such a fan that, Jack and I and Dusty were dressing out in the hallway, and he saw us dressing out in the hallway. And he said, "Hey, guys," he said, "you guys don't need to be in the hallway. Come back into my office." So, of course, he said, "You can dress in here." So, oh, man, that's great. We were dressing in Ted Turner's office, and he had his own private bathroom in there. So all the guys were pissed off at us. But anyway, Dusty. So, we're sitting there on TV while I'm listening to TV, and all of a sudden this guy comes on. Like I said, I've been a tag team partners with Thunderbolt Patterson, and I hear this talk. I said, "I didn't see Thunderbolt anywhere here. I didn't see Thunderbolt. I didn't know he was here." I'm looking around and no Thunderbolt. So I walk out, and there's a monitor out in the hallway there where everybody's dressing, and on this monitor there's Dusty Rhodes. And I swear he's a reincarnation of Thunderbolt Patterson and his rap. And that's kind of where, if you go back and you listen to Patterson's early promos and listen to Dusty's promos, they got the same rhythm, the same type of accent and everything. So that enabled Dusty to get over with everybody. The plumber's son, he was a common man. So he was over with every race, nationality, gender that there was in the world. And so Dusty immediately got over on that Channel 17, which was a blessing and a curse to us, because my brother and I own part of Georgia, and we own part of Florida also. So we're, Dusty was our source. Other territories started calling for Dusty at the time because he was getting over so big on that WTBS. And so we would lose Dusty. We'd have him, of course, for Tampa on Tuesday, Miami on Monday, but we had Orlando, West Palm, and Jacksonville, and those other towns too. We needed him in, but other territories were using Dusty on the weekend. So our big shows. So finally, when Eddie started running like St. Petersburg Bayfront Center, which was a brand new building at the time, it's even gone now. But it was the biggest building for a while, or second biggest. Jacksonville was always the biggest building, but the Bayfront Center was our second biggest building down there. And Dusty would sell that thing out monthly, every
Really?
once a month on a Saturday night. We come in, and I mean, just out of cold turkey, you could book Raul Mata with Dusty Rhodes in the Bayfront Center, and that damn thing would sell out.
He was that hot. Dusty was that hot.
He was that hot, and I mean, he was on a roll. And I've never seen anybody. What I want to say, I've never seen anybody, because the Austins and the Rocks and the guys like that came along afterwards. The ovations they would get, of course, the buildings were like 3 times the size, but there wasn't a building in the South, and for a matter of fact, in the Midwest and even anywhere that Georgia Championship Wrestling went, it was the cable, so it was everywhere. That we would book Dusty and the place wouldn't sell out just from the power of that TBS TV show. That he was a big money draw, and you didn't need to have an awful lot with Dusty either for him to sell out. It's usually just you put Dusty plus others, and you wouldn't even have to put opponent, and it would usually sell out.